So welcome back to the channel. Imagine that you are told that humans are the most complex organisms on earth. So naturally you will expect that humans will have more genes, right? Surprisingly, that's not true. Rice has nearly twice as many genes as humans, and wheat has more over like 100,000 genes. So it's almost 5 times more than us. So does that mean that wheat is more complex than humans? The answer is no. And this fascinating mystery is what is called as G value paradox or the gene number or gene value paradox. So before we understand this paradox, we should firstly know and define what a gene is. So a gene is nothing but it's a segment of DNA which has instructions for making a functional protein or RNA molecule. And these protein or RNA molecules will help to make cells. They'll give you instructions to make where the cells will grow, divide, communicate, and do perform all of the important biological functions. So, because genes carry your instructions, it was once believed that when if you have more genes, that means the organism is more complex. Okay, so let's see. But when the scientists were actually counting the genes, they found something unexpected. Humans have only 20,000 protein coding genes. It is nearly the same, almost same as of a tiny worm. Same number as a tiny worm. Whereas rice has around 37,000 genes and wheat has over like 100,000 genes because of its genome because its genome has more multiple duplications because of the evolution. So clearly the gene number alone doesn't explain the biological complexity. So this contradiction is what is known as the G value paradox. So this paradox states that it's a simple relationship that there is no relationship between the number of genes and the how more complex or the complexity of the organism. So in simple words, you can say having more genes doesn't automatically make an organism more advanced. So if humans have fewer genes, then how are we more complex? So the answer lies in not how many genes are there, it lies in how we are using those genes. Okay. So a single human gene can produce multiple proteins through alternative splicing. Our genes can be switched on and off at precise times through gene regulation. So our nerve cells, muscle cells, liver cells, okay, they all use different combinations of the same genes. So it's like having a small toolbox, but you have hundreds of creative ways to use each of those tools. But plants have more genes for a different reason. During evolution, many of the plants they experienced whole genome duplication, meaning that they copied the entire genome. So they went under gene duplication, so they created a lot of extra copies of individual genes. Why? Because plants doesn't move, right? They have to move away. They can't move away from heat, drought, or some insects. Or how do they protect or adapt themselves, right? So they do by these extra genes. These extra genes help the plants to adapt and change and survive according to the changing environments. So more genes in plants doesn't mean that they're more greater in biological complexity. It means that the more genes is like a survivor too. Okay. So you can see here. Okay. So the G value paradox teaches us one of the most important lessons in genetics is that complexity is not determined by how many genes an organism has, but it depends on how they are used, okay, how they are regulated and how they are expressed, how they are combined, all of that. So in biology, it's not just about having the number of instructions, it's about how intelligently, how smartly you use those instructions. Okay, so in next video we will be discussing about the human genome project and discover how the scientists decoded this complete instruction manual of human life. So thank you everybody. I hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. Thank you.